Hi, I'm Marceau Verdiere.
I'm Rhynell Mouton. We're here to talk with Marceau about his wonderful abstract paintings. Join us as we explore the artist's journey.
I play with the idea that we are what we've encountered in life. What we've encountered, what remains of that. My paintings are in essence imagining the patina of a soul.
Marceau, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for coming and visiting my home. I much appreciate it.
What would you say your best thing about abstract art is, or art in general, whether painting or the photography? What is your favorite part about that process?
The favorite part is simply to make it. I am a person that gets really easily distracted by life. When I'm in the studio, when I make photo, it's one of the very rare times that I am focused on what I'm doing, and I like this, and it makes time disappear. So I may start in the studio at 7 p.m. and think I'll be there for a couple hours, and it's like, okay, maybe time to go to bed. I look at my watch and it's 3 a.m. And I love that. I love that time disappears when I create. So that's my favorite part about it, is the act of making it. You know.
I notice you have like different themes. Do you stick to a certain theme, or is it just more so kind of how you're feeling? Or
my work is primarily about memories, and memories as traces. I imagine what a soul might look like if we could see all the traces that memories are, and how they build up and how they change. And I'm interested primarily in small moments in life, the moments that we generally don't pay attention to, moments of doubt, moments of silence. But there are defining moments.
Are you sometimes surprised at what the viewer can pull out of your abstract paintings?
I'm always surprised, yeah. And I'm surprised mostly when the viewers allow themselves to be completely genuine in the reaction. It's always interesting to see what people read. I've had reactions from people. I have had people crying my painting. I had people burn my paintings because they saw devilish things in it after they acquired them. I mean, so it's fun, you know. Yes, the reactions can be quite varied.
And does it change depending on what country you're in? You know, people are different all over the world, and you know, you've been around the world multiple times. Do you see different reactions from different people all around the world, depending on the country?
It's almost like the rest of the world versus Humboldt. In Humboldt, Humboldt is such a beautiful place, and because it is so kind and so caring and and supportive of the arts, that the reaction will inevitably be positive generally, and that's very comforting, and it's very pleasant. You go elsewhere where people don't know you, and especially when you go show in bigger cities, Vienna, Barcelona, or the reaction can be a lot more rough, raw, honest, but also it's quite helpful, you know, and the dialogues that you enter into can be quite stimulating. It's a privileged moment when you're working in your studio. You're all alone with your time. Time disappears. In a society like this, like the one we live in, where everything goes so fast, I feel incredibly privileged to have figured out that, you know, I can do this.
When you're creating these images or these artistic paintings, are you going in there with an image in mind, or are you kind of creating as you go?
I do work always in series. So I may have a series on doubt, I may have a series on silence, or right now I'm working on a series on anticipation. So with that in mind, I have a certain vision of what the color palette, what the sort of compositions will be to create a coherent ensemble. So when I start a new painting, it fits within that ensemble of painting that I'm working on, except for the first one. The first one sets the pace often for what is coming.
This has all been so amazing. Mind if we see how it all works?
Let's go.
So Marceau, can you take me through your creative process and why you use the things that you use?
When I start with a painting, I always start with a black layer. That is just a habit that I've taken, and it's a chance for me to sort of have a first step in the painting. So I don't have painter's block like some writers have in front of a white page. So, for this I just use plain house paint. I already have an interaction with the painting. I have a sense of the palette and the colors I'll be using, and the direction I'm going to have something that is consistent with the series I'm working on.
So now that the surface is dry, what comes next?
The next step is to build up texture. And for that, I use an oil-based industrial paint. It's thick, it's tough, and it will interact well with the oil paint. So I just put it a little bit here, and then
Oh, wow.
do you want to try?
Yeah, do you think I can give it a go?
Go for it. But put on a pair of gloves.
Okay. So, just kind of get it a little. I can feel the Picasso coming out in me already.
You're doing great. We'll co-sign this one.
Okay. And do you like to keep it a little starry night or a little bit more, thicker with?
That's up to you, and each painting will change.
Okay.
This is where you can start composing a little bit how the painting will come out. It's actually sort of inspired from the grisaille technique that they use in more ancient paintings, where you build up different tones of grays and then by using translucent glazes over transparent paintings, you'll be able to play with the light a little bit.
Okay.
And then you can smear it partially.
I can see.
To start building up,
texture. I can see it shaping already.
That goes on.
And so now that you have the textures and the extra layers, what comes next?
So I start to scrape. And because my paintings are about memories as traces that accumulate on one's soul, the idea is you put on a layer, you scrape it off, you put on a layer, you scrape it off. Okay. And now, when we start playing, again, we're just doing traces and build up a surface that becomes hopefully more and more interesting.
It's interesting already.
How about you?
Yeah, definitely. Let's give it a try. Okay.
Have fun with pressure and how you want to play.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see like the textures and like how the white kind of is still coming through the blue, even though it was like the one, the second layer that you put on, but it's still kind of coming through. It comes out really nice, yeah.
But now we take it off again. so now we start scraping again. Yeah. You never take everything away. It's like a memory. It stays with you. It slowly fades, but there's always something that remains. And that's while it's still wet, why don't we change it up a little bit and bring a little warm white on it. This one is opaque right there, and this will allow me to sort of play and see what it does. So since it has a little yellowish sort of tone, interacting with blue will become a sort of a greenish thing. But it's going to be a very subtle, almost jade-like green. And again, I put a little bit of medium. Traces. And have some different kind of things. And now let's play with it and see.
Off. Okay. Yeah, and I can see just applying different pressures, it's creating something totally different.
And the act of painting has to be playful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's interesting. It makes it a lot more pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like just with painting, just anything works. Like you can literally just come out and just, just throw things on, and you can create something out of that. Like you can be as experimental as you want with this. Okay. All right. Good. Now let me guess, are we taking something off?
Let's play a little bit and smear it around a little bit and see some areas and create some. We start having, but now you're right. We're scraping off.
Okay.
So you can play around with which areas you want to scrape off a little bit, and same for the pressure.
Okay.
And as you see, the tough industrial paint that stays. That's hard one to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I would wait until this dries. So it could take 2-3 days, and then I start rebuilding new layers in different colors to then create contrasting effects and certain depths and things. But on this one, we started with blue. We may move on to a reddish or an orange sort of things that contrast really well with the painting.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
Good job.
Thank you. That's something. That's very, very cool. Yeah. You just took something and you basically just added, 3 or 4 colors, but made it so much more hands-on by just adding the scraping and the rolling and the drying with the heater. And yeah, that's amazing.
That's exactly how life works, Every experience that you encounter is applied to yourself somehow in a different way. And as it fades away, as it's scraped away by the rest of life, what remains are these traces that accumulate.
Yeah. Is there another artistic medium that you've always wanted to try but never had the opportunity to try yet?
Yes. I want to work with metal one day and weld and grind and so forth. I have project ideas for it, but haven't yet had the opportunity. I've played around with sculpture. I did a month-long stay in France to work on ceramics, which I really, really, really liked, but it's not intuitive to me. And so yeah, I do explore different things. But I come back to painting, it's my thing.
Well, Marceau, this has been amazing. Thank you for inviting us to your lovely home.
Oh, the pleasure was certainly mine.
And thank you for joining us on Studio Space.